What is up, guys? Hello and welcome back to Bite Size Security. My name is Jimmy and today I'm bringing you another video and we're doing Pandora by Hack the Box. And you might be wondering why we're not doing Serial, but there is a couple of hard boxes in here. I know Serial is one, Flight is one, and there's a couple of others. And we're first going to do the easy ones, then the medium ones, although we've already done medium ones, so the easy and the medium ones we can do just whenever, but the hard ones I'll save for last because I can't lie, they are hard, and so I just want to get some more practice in before I get to those. But yeah, we're doing Pandora, and yeah, let's just get straight into it. So as usual, I've got everything running again already. I've got the VPN running, and I've got Obsidian open here like so. I've already prepared the folders and notes in there, and as well I've created the root directory. So in there I'll create as usual the folders, so as well loot, privesc and exploit like so. I'll go into enum, and now that I'm ready to start, I just want to give a quick thank you again. I know I sound like a broken record, but we're 400 subscribers on YouTube, and that's pretty insane. I can't thank you guys enough. I'm very appreciative of you. Thank you for supporting the channel. Thank you for watching my content. It really warms my heart to read all the comments, and I'm glad I can bring you guys some value and some content that you like to watch. With that being said, let's get straight into Pandora. So as usual, I'll run recon on the IP. I'll just paste the IP here, and as usual, I'll call that entry point like so. I'll take the IP, although I already had it in my clipboard, and I'll just run recon with the IP. Just to show you, recon is an alias for what I usually did every single time, and I just want to be quicker. There was one comment that was asking me how I did it to open each file automatically like that in Sublime. So I just really wanted to quickly get over that to clear it up. So what I do is I always have Sublime text open on the roots folder of the box that I'm currently working on, and when I open it I can then see all of the folders, and whenever I open anything inside of here, you can see results already. It automatically shows up in Sublime text. So that is how I constantly have a vision of whatever's new in there, and I just really wanted to clear that up because I gotta respond to the comments in it. So let's get started with the enumeration process. So as usual, I'll also run scan on the IP, and I'll save that output into initial like this. And while that is running, I will go into here and I'll just write nmap scan, and then also rust scan like that, and then I'll do like this, quick scan and full scan like that. And then I can just paste the outputs that I just got into there. Initial is done, so I'll clean it up and call it rust scan.text and go into my Sublime text, put that in here like this, and copy this, paste it here. What can I see? I have one port 22 and one port 80, and we'll get into what is on those. This initial I can delete. You can see why I do the cleanup. It's because of this ANSI characters, and I really don't like that. It's now become kind of automatic. All of these things I do in the beginning. It's just the way I like to do things in the beginning. It's my workflow. And by the way, let me know in the comments if the size of the terminal, the font size is good. I read I had a few people that could not see very well the what's written on the terminal, so I just wanted to make sure the font is big enough. Although for me it's actually quite big, but it's easy on the eyes, I guess. And while everything is loading, please subscribe, please like, share, comment down below. It really helps. It really is nice to communicate with you guys, answer some questions, and yeah, just talk. And I feel very appreciative of all the comments, really. Thank you guys. Let's see how Sublime Text is doing on the auto recon scan. So let's go into external and create the two notes like this. And first we have port 22, which is SSH, and we have port 80, which is HTTP. Let's go on the quick scan, take this from here, and we can paste that one here as well. So here, nothing new, just port 22. As usual, this is not the entry point, I don't believe, and port 80. We do have Apache 2.4.41, and we have an HTTP title, plate landing. So while everything is loading, let's just go onto that page. And let's take the IP again. Where is it? Here. And let's just visit that. Okay, we have a static page, it looks like. You can usually, after a while, tell when pages are static. They just look different. I don't really know how to describe it, but you can tell this is all just one page, especially if you click and it just always stays on the same page. And I'm guessing if I press purchase now, it won't do anything. There you go. See, yeah, this is nothing really. 2 email addresses, this input form. Okay, we'll get to that. So let's do what we usually do and do one thing after the other in a very thorough manner. Let's go to port 22, take this. What did I just do? There you go. Paste that here, and let's go to port 80. Write nmap and paste that here like this. And so with SSH, I usually do SSH audit. It doesn't cost me any time, so let's do it again. So SSH audit and then the IP like this, and I save the output into SSH like so. That takes 2 seconds, and then I can clean that like so. And this, however, I will save in results, and then scans TCP here, and then I won't call it nmap, but I'll call it SSH audit. Like that, it's very well organized. And permission denied. That is because of auto recon. Auto recon runs as sudo, and so everything created by it is also sudo. I've created a alias to get rid of this, and I just called it hacktheboxperm. And what it does is it gives permissions on the root of all my hackthebox boxes back to me, the user. And so this way I can now do the clean without a problem. Just, I like using aliases, you know, it makes everything easier. Now, if I go into SSH, it will be there nice and clean. And so what I can do now is just go here and say SSH audit and paste that here. And then again, check, and we can see there's absolutely nothing with SSH. So let's go over to port 80 and do all the rest. So we've got curl as usual, though I like to do that one last. We've got Nikto, we've got a screenshot, we've got whatweb, and we have got GoBuster, I believe. Is that all of them? Yes. And what do? We copy all of them, paste them. the screenshots. Yeah, this time I'll take this one. Because I know this page has basically nothing. Though I will check that input form. And then Nmap we did. A WordPress installation was found. Interesting. Let's go to Nikto. Concentrate. What else do we have? Nikto. Let's do the curl. Let's go up. So we got WhatWeb and GoBuster finally. Like so. What do we have in GoBuster? We've got assets and index. I believe assets is just the pictures that are being used. Yeah, it's the fonts. It's everything there. There's never really anything here. Images. Yeah. So what's this with this WordPress that we saw here? So -- URL HTTP and then here the IP like this. Do I want to update? Yes. I really don't believe the remote website is up but does not seem to be running WordPress. Okay, so you know what? Because this is a let me just not do that. Because we thought we had WordPress, but we don't, let's take note of that, because we want to take note of everything, right? And I just want to get used to having a very thorough methodology, because once on the job, when I get a job as a pen tester, hopefully one day, I want to be able to just work in a very good way, you know? And so where did I see that we might have WordPress? That was in Nikto. So here I can say like this, false positive, like that. And then we can move on. What were we dealing with? How's the scan going? Do we have anything else? No. Oh, we do have port 161, which is SNMP, which is the network management protocol. SNMP, what does it stand for again? I should know this. Simple network management protocol. There you go. Okay, two things about SNMP. Usually when I see it, I think immediately of information disclosure, because of just in the past I've found a lot of times in SNMP there was information disclosure. Before I get into that, let me just quickly do this. We have a host here, a host name. So let me just put that into here as well and get the IP like so. There you go. Usually when I find SNMP, it's information. There's information disclosure. So let's just go check that out as well. UDP 161 SNMP Nmap like so, and then let's go into Sublime. Not this one, that one. 161. Okay, and it has already run a bunch of commands. However, I will not use those. and I'll show you why in a second. What is all this? Yeah, you can tell already the Nmap scan gives me internals. This is a lot of internals. Okay, so because Nmap already runs scripts, it can already give me internal configurations. So you can see we have Apache 2 running. This is very interesting, but I don't like enumerating it like this. When I have SNMP, usually AutoRecon runs SNMP walk. And I like to run, let me go into my notes really quick, SNMP bulk walk. Where is it? MSSQL. SNMP. There. Okay. So what are we gonna run? Let me go into here, go with this, call it fingerprinting or footprinting rather. There you go. And so what we can run is SNMP bulk walk what? SNMP bulk walk. There you go. Okay. -C public, because the community, what's it called again? The strings, there's community strings. They usually, you have to, let me just explain this better. SNMP bulk walk. So -C is to set the community string. Let's quickly go over a refresher of what SNMP actually does. SNMP, so the Simple Network Management Protocol, is a protocol used for monitoring and managing network devices like routers, printers, switches, servers, and IoT devices. It enables remote configuration and control of network devices. There you go. This is why there's often internal information disclosure, because it's a software, it's a protocol that manages internals like switches, drivers, like I just read. And if that information is leaked, by design, there is a lot of internals that the protocol works with, and so you get internal information disclosure. With that rant being over, let's go back to the enumeration of it. So that was SNMP bulk walk -C public -V to C, and then the IP, which I have. Let me just put it like this. The IP like this. Now, this is a lot of input, and I don't like doing that like this. So what I'll do is I'll save this input to results, scans, UDP 168, and then I'll call it like this, but I'll add bulk walk. So essentially what we did was we did SNMP bulk walk. And oh, actually, I forgot something. I believe you have to put a full stop behind the IP. Yes. Wow, how did I just remember that? But yes, you have to put a full stop behind the IP. I don't fully remember why that is, but I learned this as well in the academy. I'm surprised that I don't have this in my notes. But either way, I save the output all in the AutoRecon generated folder because it's just cleaner that way. I don't really like having residue files out here. And this SSH I can also delete because it was the one with the ANSI characters, and the RustScan is the only one that stays out because it doesn't belong in these. Although I could put it into here, into the bigger scans, but yeah, doesn't matter. Anyway, this full scan is done. So let me also just paste this here, and then we're pretty much fully done with this general information page. While that is done, let me go into SNMP bulk walk and read what is in there. So Mississippi, we've got a user. So let's go into loot and say flags. In there we will have root.text. In there we will also have user.text. We will have some credentials, one of them being Daniel. And then what else could we have? Hashes, but we're not dealing with Windows, so that's less likely for now. VMware, WM. Okay, there's a lot of, as you can see, information that we don't really need. A lot of information we don't really need. All internals. Some memory. Some software that's running. Apache. Oh, these are services. These are services that are running. Okay, now is where the interesting stuff comes, I think. Some folders. What do we have here? Whenever in SNMP walk, there's a bit of more text like this sticking out. That's where I stop and I read, right? And this C, sleep, bin bash, Daniel, Hotel Babylon, bingo. And here again, Hotel Babylon. I believe these are credentials. Let's see. Let's see if these are credentials. The first thing I like to do whenever I find something like this is immediately, given that we do have SSH, let me go on the quick scan. No, actually, there's no reason to do that. Whenever we have SSH open, I immediately try the credentials that I just found. What am I doing? With SSH. So SSH Daniel, and then the IP, like so. And then we take the password, and we have an initial footprint. Okay. For that, let's take some notes. So HTTP, we didn't really have anything, and we ignored the input box in the end. Okay, so static page, nothing really interesting at first glance. SSH, usually not the entry vector, and then SNMP. Here we can say SNMP bulk walk, and don't worry guys, I'm not going to paste everything in there, but I am going to take this part, say the usual snip to show that there was a lot more there, and this is still a bit too much. like that. And then we can say internal information disclosure. We found a valid pair of credentials. I really have to practice on my typing again. I used to type really fast and I just forgot about it. Like, I don't really do it that much anymore, and so I really need to practice it again. There's websites where you can practice racing and stuff like that while typing sentences. I really like those, and you really do get much quicker, and I have to start doing that again because I like it being smooth and just slick and fast. Anyway, let's get back to hacking. So we have an initial footprint, so let's also here go away from external and go into internal, open a note and say initial foothold. Okay, we are Daniel. Okay, so let's say enumeration. Let's list. Okay, we don't have anything here. What is in here? We have SSH. Interesting. Of course, we have SSH. That's how we got in. But we don't have a user.txt, which tells me that there is another user. Yes, okay. So let's take a screenshot of this. I would have been very surprised if this was the only user and straight a user.txt. That would have been an extremely easy machine and not in the OSCP practice machines. But anyway, we have 2 users. Target is Matt. No, I don't need to say that, but we have 2 users, Daniel and Matt. And Matt is probably the very low privileged one. Let's see if we can navigate to Matt. Yes. Can we cat this? No, we cannot read it. Okay, let's see. What can we do? What we can do is go to var dub. Okay, so we have HTML, which was the website we saw. I'm thinking about a lot of things about what I could do. So what I also usually say is I go into opt and temp, just to see if there's anything in there. But the first thing you should do is go into var dub. Let me take a screenshot of this. And this is the initial, really initial enumeration. If there was more, if I couldn't find anything in that instance, I would run linpiece. But because the first user you get into the box with is usually www data or a user like this, the vector to escalate to an actual user with permissions inside the box is often in var dub. It's just, I could be wrong with this assumption, but this is just almost every time how I've found boxes to be and to be like. And yeah, so as we can see, there is Pandora here. So we will go into that and see what it has. Let me paste this and then. And also we did see in the SNMP output that there was Apache 2 running. And so I'm guessing Pandora is an Apache 2 server. Anyway, so we have 2 web servers. Also Pandora and HTML. Let's just quickly go into HTML to confirm that this was what we saw. Index and HTML. Yes, that is the page we saw. Now, what else should I do? Let's go into my cheat sheet for enumeration. I like to run SSLNTP just to see the open ports. Open ports. Let me do it like this. Like this. No. Okay. Screenshot. I thought so. Yeah, I still have to figure out when to take screenshots, when to copy to clipboard, but yeah. So the open ports, we have an MS SQL. We have an SQL database, not MS SQL, but just MySQL on port 3306. Then we've got port 80 running. And I believe if you don't have information, more information here, well, this is just localhost, I believe, but this Apache server is probably Pandora and we don't have permissions to it. Let's go into this Pandora folder. We've got index.html. Do I want to cat this? Okay, there's nothing really there. Let's open a enumeration like this and then Pandora. Oh no, I already did an enumeration. Okay, let's see. As user Daniel. There you go. Again, the notes are mine and they're not very well organized now. I don't know what I'm doing, to be very honest. But yeah, just we're in Pandora. Okay. Pandora console. What do we have here? Let me do it like this. And as you can see, this is all running with Matt's permissions. Okay. What can we find in here? We have WS-PHP. Let me just open this and then open up a server. HTTP server like so. And then download what I want to inspect. So we say we get HTTP / like so, port 8000, and then what do we want to download? WS-PHP. What else do I want? Index, just to see. And then, given that it's PHP, there should be a configs file. Where is that? It's usually in, I believe, include. There's a lot in here. Config PHP. Yes, okay. Let me also host the server again, and then here say config.php. File not found. Do I not have permissions? Cat config. Yes, permission denied. Okay. So let's see what we're working with here. Ooh, okay. I don't like this. Let's move index and WS into okay, so we'll make a new folder, call it internal and external like this, and then we'll move results and Rust scan if the recon is done. Okay, we'll not move results because otherwise that will just make it not nice. external, and then we'll move index and WS into internal. I really like to be organized, as you can see. And then let's go into internal, and we have those. And now here in Sublime, that should also be cleaner. So we have an index page, Pandora FMS. Interesting. Okay, instead of looking at this page, can we host this? Okay, let's see. We can go into Etsy. What's it called again? Etsy, Apache. And then... is it sites available? Pandora Conf. Holy, that was correct. Okay, Pandora Conf. So, we've got a server, admin panda HTTP, server name panda HTTP, pandora.panda.htb, and on localhost 80. Interesting. Okay, so what can we do? First, we go on our host and we say we have a subdomain. No. No. Yes, no, actually we can. So Pandora. No. Absolutely not. One thing after the other. So we don't have access to this local host. Okay, what we can do is do a local port forward. Okay. Let's do a port forward. So ssh.l, we're forwarding everything from the remote port to our local 1234, like this, I believe, localhost, and then everything port 80. That should be correct. And then Daniel at, what's the IP? Like this. That should be correct. I believe so. If not, I've got it in my notes, but I'm just trying to see that I do all these things correctly without my notes. So now I should be able to go to localhost 1234 on my host here and navigate to the page. So let's try that. That port should be forwarded to my localhost 1234, like this. And that worked. Okay, let's take some notes. So initial foothold, Pandora. Let's go back to here. What did we do? We went into var dub. We found that 2 available in the host. Let's see, what was it again? Etsy, Apache 2, sites enabled. Okay, so Pandora dev.conf. Like this. And found the configuration. There you go. Internal web server. My notes today are really bad. Only I understand myself, but that's okay. So this was footprinting. This is the port forward. So I should have put this one alone. And this one I can close. And this one as well. And then I can call this one port forward, like so. And then I can open a new one. And the command was ssh-l 1234 localhost 80 Daniel at IP, which is, I could just remember these IPs, but I never do. Like that. And we have access to another website. So we can do new notes, call that 80 HTTP. What we can do here is say 127.0.0.1 and call that panda at pandora.h2b, or the other way around, pandora.panda.htb, and then we just have to specify the port when we scan it. So I can do recon on ports 1234 and 127.1. Am I in the right? No. Let me go into internal and then do recon p 1234 127.0.0.1. That should be correct. Yes. Okay, so we're running auto recon again for this internal website, because maybe we will find some GoBuster files, some directories or whatnot. But what can I see here? Let me take a screenshot of this. We have a screenshot. Not this again. I wonder what happens there. And why it breaks the image. But anyway, like this. So the first thing I see here obviously is the login panel. So admin passwords, that won't work. Okay, admin. I had a typo there. Yeah, that won't work. Okay, another thing I see here is we have a version. And this is almost always jackpot right away, because Googling is always winning. So version. So let's go onto here, Google. what do we have? We already have a few exploits. Let me go. Let's call this internal enum and then type search exploit. So we got Pandora v7, search exploit Pandora 7. We've got a remote code execution. Remote code execution, authentication bypass. These are all authenticated. So, oh, let's grep for, no, that was just 7. These are all authenticated. And we don't have credentials. So Pandora, what was it? FMS version 7. Let's browse to here. Pandora FMS 742. Which one do we have? 742, perfect. And there's some critical code vulnerabilities. Let's take this link and put it onto here. Okay, what do we have? Okay, it's for monitoring software. Okay, so FMS, so monitoring software. There is an SQL injection, pre-authenticated, FAR deserialization, out of my league for now, and a remote file inclusion. Let's see about this SQL injection. So on this parameter, so there is a SQL injection in this variable. Oh, on this endpoint, sorry. Is passed to the function row filter. This function uses a couple of internal functions that dynamically builds a SQL query. Okay. Yeah, okay. This is a bit over my head, I can't lie. But there is this endpoint that is vulnerable, I believe. No, the session ID. Either one of these, wait. The latter is probably the reason why get parameter was not used here. The user input request blah, 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 is passed to the constructor of the class Pandora user without any sanitization. So this is the vulnerable one. Then the function check login is used to check if a login session variable is set and valid. All in all, the function check login evaluates as true if a user with the given session ID exists, and then the access is granted. The following snippet shows what happens in the constructor of class Pandora user with the attacker controlled value. Okay, so it uses this value and inputs it into here. And this is not being sanitized. Let's try and go to this endpoint. And then say, what was it? Session ID. equals 1. Access not granted. So now let's try. Yes, we have an SQL injection. Okay, that is amazing. Okay, so now 2 things on this. I have not yet decided for myself and for this video if I will do SQL map to exploit this, because in the real world you would now run SQL map. However, I am practicing for OSCP and you're not allowed to do SQL map in the exam. So I will try and either exploit this manually, which will be a pain, and I might do this at the end of the video, or I will look for an exploit online, which I am pretty sure I will find. Someone will have written an exploit for this. And also for the benefit of time, I think that is the better choice. But let's first now take some notes and then go about whatever we're going to do. So there's an unauthenticated in the like so. We could run SQL map, exploit manually, or use public exploit. Okay, I will show you how I would go about exploiting this with SQL map, but I won't do it now. So I would open burp. Next, start burp. I will open the proxy here like this and go onto burp. What I will then do is run this command again, and I should see it here in burp. I'll send this to repeater by pressing Ctrl R, and then I'll save this request like so, and I'll go to workspace, hack the box, boxes, Pandora, exploits, and call this request. This has now been saved. And what I could now do is run SQL map. No, let's go to exploit. I could do SQL map -r requests. And this will then run SQL map on this request. And let me just do this. And while I run that, provides cookies. Do you want to merge? You know what? Let's run batch. Exactly. Then batch will just press Y or press the recommended answer to everything that it asks, because otherwise it just doesn't continue. And SQL map is smart enough to run everything by itself. So let me call this one SQL map, this pane, and let's open a new one. And then let's go back onto the internet and look for a public exploit. So we've got CVE, this one, and let me put this unauthenticated exploits. Let me see what the internet has got for me. This is what I would do in OSCP as well. How should I find this? So let me go onto here. This one could be good. Let me see. Yeah, and also the thing with running unknown exploits, it's not always smart. So read the code first. So this one does exploit the SQL injection. So let's see. Takes the host, goes onto the vulnerable parameter, and okay, there's a union SQL injection. Let's see if SQL map finds this as well. Okay, this is already done. So the session ID is vulnerable, as we said. And there's a Boolean blind injection, time-based or error-based. Okay, did it find a union-based one? Now, does this matter? Okay, let's take a screenshot of this. Copy it, put it into our notes. Say manual, which we're probably not going to do. Then SQL map. And then the exploits. And this will paste onto here. Okay, that of course doesn't work again. I really need to figure out what is going on with these screenshots. There you go. Okay, and then we will try. Let me stop changing this all the time, just call it exploit. And then we'll try and just use this public exploits. Because maybe that will work. It looks okay actually. So maybe that will work. Git clone. So let's go into Pandora. Python 3 SQL pawn and then -h. See, whenever I find an exploit that looks like this, it has a help and everything, I trust it a bit more. Okay, and so what does it want? It wants a target and a file name for shell upload. Okay, so let me copy from user share web shells PHP, because I'm guessing, yeah, it wants a PHP extension. And let me use the simple backdoor. Let's copy this here. And then we'll do SQL pawn, Python 3 SQL pawn. Before we do that, let's take this, put it onto our notes. Like this, SQL pawn, and then the target, which is HTTP localhosts 1234, like so. That should be okay. Maybe Pandora underscore. Oh no. No, let's just do it like this. And then F for the simple backdoor. Please work. Let's just see if this was. Oh god, is it the wrong backdoor? Oh, I really wanted this to work. Let's try one more backdoor. What does it say? Is there something wrong here? Pandora underscore console. Oh, okay. It doesn't like the URL. Okay. So it just wants me to do, let me not write localhost, but 127.0.0.1. like this. That worked. Okay. It just didn't like my URL. Let's see if the other backdoor would have worked. Yes, that would have worked as well. Okay, great. Yeah, so the exploit one was just nicer. And the reason why I figured that there would be a public exploit is because when I went onto Google and researched this, there was just, this is probably something old. And for vulnerabilities like this, where it's very well documented, there's multiple vulnerabilities, there's always going to be an exploit public. Someone will have taken the time to write together an exploit. Maybe one day that will be me. It's not today. Anyway, we are in. Okay, so let's take a screenshot of this. So we can like that, and then we take this command and put it here like this. And who are we? We are Matt. Okay, first things first, when I have a command like this, is I go onto RefShell. Did I copy that correctly? Like this, I go like that, and yeah, that's fine. And I take a reverse shell, usually this one. This is Python 1, Python 2.7, sorry, any type of Python except Python 3. And then I take this one. I go onto here. I listen on 9001 and I paste that here. Usually I get a reverse shell that way. And I just like this more, you know? And then what I can do here is do Python 3-c imports pty dot spawn. Is it like that? Bin bash like that. If that was correct, I will scream. No, it wasn't, of course. So it's like this, and I forgot these quotation marks here. Close enough. Next time I'll do it correctly. Then I'll do Control Z. I'll say stty or dash echo and go back into that shell. And now I should have a better shell. So we are Matt and we are logged in to Pandora console because our exploit dropped us into images. Right. Now, what do we want to do first? We want to go onto the user folder. Home not set. Okay, so this, okay, one thing after the other. Let me go onto home, Matt, and I can already tell this shell is still not great because when I just do cd, the path to home is not set. How can I verify this? Sudo -l. What is this? Okay, I need to find a way to get a better shell. What is this? Operation not permitted when performing. On Ubuntu, it's family common to switch using blah 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 blah. Okay, I don't have any credentials, so I'm not going to do sudo su. Oh God. What is all of this? Okay, let's try and find a better way to get this shell. So let me think. Obviously, we have user.text, and we can see that this is indeed user.text because it's got 33 characters. SSH. So SSH is running for this user as well, obviously. So what we can create is, let's make an SSH directory, and then we can do SSH keygen. And then, oh no, sorry, let's remove this. Remove.ssh. Make SSH again. Go into, say, SSH keygen H. No. How does that work again? Oh God. That was not very smooth, but let's do it again. So we have a shell here, and then we go to home mats, and then we write, let me just try it here, SSH keygen. Is there dash help? Yes. How do I immediately name output key file? Okay. So we can do SSH keygen -f mat. So now we generate a private key for mat and not just, yeah, whatever. Anyway, passphrase, no. There you go. And then we go into SSH. Let me ptm3-c import pty-pty spawn. See why I need to practice typing again? Bin bash, like so. Go back, do, there you go. And then foregrounds, like so. Do bash. See, and the shell is still not good. Did that work with the keygen? That didn't work at all. Mat hub. Let's go into SSH. SSH. I'm fumbling about here. Oh, okay. I didn't want to do that at -f. Okay, let me just do it like this. So what I am trying to do here is make an authorized keys file and put my public key, which you will see in a second, into his authorized keys, and then I should be able to log in as Matt. This is something, if you have SSH running, try and do this, because an SSH shell is always the best shell. If you can have an SSH shell, go for an SSH shell. Okay, so let's go into my current working directory, SSH, like that. And then we can cat my public key. And then I can echo my public key into authorized keys like this, I believe. And that should work. That should work. SSH mat at DIP. With a bit of fumbling around, that should work. And it did. Great. Okay, so now what can I do? Take some notes. Initial foothold as user mat. Okay. After a bit of light. No, sorry. Gaining can import our as map through SSH like this. Then in exploits we exploited initial foothold as user Daniel. No, where did I? Okay, here. So from here, copy this, put it into exploit as well. And initial footholds, let's just call it foothold because it's not initial anymore. And then we have as Daniel and as Matt. So we are now logged in as Matt. So now we can do proper enumeration again. So essentially, let's take this away. As Daniel enumeration. Like that. And like this. And here like that. And here like this. See how I am very finicky with my titles and everything, but there's a reason for it. It's just organized, because if I ever use a tool, I know there's a tool that uses markdown language to create a report. If you use those kinds of tools, they depend on you having your titles correctly, your titles and your headers correctly. And that is why I'm so precise with it. Also in my notes, everything is really precisely headed. The headers are all like header 1, header 2, header 3, and it makes sense. Be thorough and you will thank yourself down the line. You'll just have built up a methodology of being thorough that is learned over time, and really it pays. So I can only recommend you guys do this in a thorough manner every single time. So we got a shell, a SSH shell as Matt. SSH Matt. And I forgot a T. There you go. So what can we do? We have user.txt, and as we just did, we have .ssh. Here we will go back into boxes, Pandora. Let's go into Privesk because that belongs to Privesk, and here as well we are now in Privesk. Now we're in enumeration first, but then after Privesk. Let's copy lin piece. Locate lin piece. Actually, no. Let's first do enumeration manually, because I don't want to use too many automated tools all the time. So What do I usually do? I do sudo -l, but we don't have credentials for that, so let it be. Then I check out the world printable folders, usually the same ones. Yeah, what I also do is uname -a, and then I can take this and go into general information. And this is just general information about the host, just to be thorough, because in a report you want to put this in. World writable files. This is a bit more interesting. Let's see. Also the system kernel ones. Yeah, we're not doing that. The first interesting one is, okay, let's also still do cats. Let's see, LSB release. Yeah, no, we've got that information. Let's check out the binaries with the set UIB bit set. And let's go into foothold, enumeration. Let's do it like this. And then like that. And what else did we do? We did say uname. Like that. Okay, we've got sudo and pkexec. Interesting. Because, oh wow, the fact that I remember this means I am learning. And I'm learning quick. pkexec, when it has the set UID bit set, is vulnerable to, and I believe that is how it works. Yeah, PwnKit. PwnKit. You know what? Let me not do this, because PwnKit, exploiting PwnKit is extremely easy. Let me just show you how easy it is, and we will get root right away. And this is cool. So let's see, because I'm not sure if this is the intended way, because I do also see user bin Pandora backup. Okay. And so let's try and exploit both of these. Okay. I can show you in 3 ways. So I'm sure on this website, my favorite website, as I've told you many times, it also tells us how to, okay, no, it doesn't. Let me go on YouTube and I'll show you. I'll put this link in the description. Reject all. PwnKit exploits. This video, dangerous code hidden in plain sight. I love this video. Go check it out. Tell them I sent you. Maybe people will then come back and say thank you. Let's try. But anyway, this exploit is great because it's just OP. You literally just execute it and you have root. I'll show you what I mean. So I'm always extremely excited to exploit this when it works. It doesn't happen often, but it happens sometimes. Prevesc, gits, like this, go into PwnKit, and then do server on port 8000, wget, http. Again, this is an alias. It's not just server, it's Python, but yeah, I've got an alias. 8000, and then download PwnKits, the already compiled one. Maybe that will work. give it permissions. Oh, please work. Please work. I love it. PwnKit is the most amazing exploit in the world. I swear I love it. We've got root, but I don't want root like this, okay? Because this is too easy and we're not doing this. Vulnerable to PwnKit. I love this exploit. Anyway, let's go back to being more serious. We have user bin backup, okay? Let's see what user bin backup does. Oh, wow. Oh, God. Enumeration. Let's go to Privesk. And let's actually copy this. Okay, we have gained root using PwnKit, but we are not happy about that. There is user bin Pandora underscore backup with the set UID bit set. Let's try exploit that. Okay, so can we run strings on user bin Pandora? Strings is not installed. So what can I do? I can go to user bin to Python 3 HTTP server, go on my local. Why do I keep? Oh, okay, I know why. Let's go to okay, that doesn't work yet. CD Pandora. Ha, that works. Okay, I will make a video. No, actually, I won't. Yeah, no, I'll make a video where I explain what just happened. But that is cool. I like that. Okay, that worked. Amazing. Because I don't have a alias to go into Pandora that way, but it still put me straight into Pandora. How did I do that? If you find out, you're good. But anyway, so let me do wget http and then put 8000 and say backup Pandora underscore backup. Oh, I know why that didn't work. I used my IP. I'm losing concentration. There you go. Let's move that into Privesk. And let's go into Privesk. And now let's do strings Pandora backup and pipe that to Pandora backup analysis. No, not pipe it, but output it. Let's go into Sublime. You can close this and let's go into the analysis. All right, let's see. So it loads these libraries, Pandora FMS backup utility, and then it attempts to back up the client, and it uses tar. I know what the privilege escalation vector is here. Remember my box, what was it? Up down or Busquera, where I did a Basically, there was a Git folder with a Python script that I used to escalate privileges, and that Python script was using a folder it was using a file without using the complete path. Well, here as well, it's using tar without using the binary path. So essentially what I can do is create my own tar, and it will run that because it runs it from user bin. Well, it uses tar just in the current working directory, and it could use my tar. So let's see if we can exploit this. And this is called path hijacking, I believe. So yes, let's try and hijack this. Okay. We are in mats. Let's touch tar and then echo shebang bin bash into tar. And then also echo bin bash into tar, and then give it more privileges. And then how do we do path hijacking again? I learned it and I want to do it correctly. So I move tar to, I learned to do this from this file, from this folder, right? Because I don't know why, I just did it from there, because that's a world writable folder. Yes, I saw it before in the world for writable folders, and that's why I should do it from there. I don't know, I'm just used to whatever. I'll just do it from there from now on. Anyway, and so now, given that I cannot inspect the path, I can just add this to the path. And the path, it uses the folders from front to back to execute tar. So when this backup, this binary with the Pandora backup executes, it uses tar and it looks at the path to see where tar is. And if I do echo path, then it will check it, use a local sbin first, then use a local bin, and I can add something here. So I can say exports path equals, let me please do this correctly, dev shm into path. That should be correct. And now echo path. Did I delete everything else? Anyway, and now let's do, oh god, please work. I have roots. Oh god, what have I done? God. All right, let me just fix this really quick. So this was the path before I killed everything. Export path, and then, oh god, what am I doing? SHM like this. And I can put this into, okay. I almost killed everything, but then I didn't. Psych. Okay, sudo -l. Yes, I almost killed everything, but then I didn't. And this was my nonchalant way to get root. We are root. Great. So what did we do? We found a static page, but then also found that SSH was open on the ports. And then after a bit of time, we also found port 161, which is an SNMP. Inside of that, we had information disclosure. and found some first valid credentials to get an initial foothold. And from there, with that initial foothold, Daniel, we were then able to enumerate the web servers that were on the host, do a local port forward on port 80 to then get access to the web server on our own attack box. We found that then had a monitoring software. There was a web server with FMS Pandora monitoring software with a version 7, which was vulnerable to various vulnerabilities, one of which was an SQL injection that we could have exploited with SQL map, but then also exploited using a public exploit. The reason why I used the public exploit was because in the OSCP you're not allowed to use SQL map, and so I just wanted to stick to that. I could have done it manually, and I should probably do it manually. I'll probably do that on my own time right now, but I won't record that because we're already at 1 hour 35. And then getting Matt as a user, we found that the shell was not optimal, the path was not accessible, and we were not allowed to do sudo-l. So what did we do? We created an SSH folder format, added our own host public key onto that authorized keys folder, that file that we created, logged in as Matt, found that the machine was vulnerable to PornKit, which is my favorite exploit. I will link it in the description, but then weren't happy with that exploit because it's just way too easy, and then exploited Pandora backup, which used tar to run the backup. But we were able to do path hijacking to then also gain roots, which was not very elegant. We killed the path but then recovered it, and yes, we've got roots. So what we can do is roots as usual, like this. We are root. This has been Jimmy with Bite-Sized Security. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, subscribe. I'm sorry for the long one, but this was very fun. And yeah, thank you guys for 400 subscribers. This has been great. I'm having a lot of fun doing these videos. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.